It Happened One Night was released in 1934 and it picked up the Best Picture Academy Award in 1935. It is directed by Frank Capra and it is the first film to pick up the Big Five. That's Best Picture, Best Screenplay, Best Director, Best Actor and Best Actress. It follows the story of Ellie, a heiress who is about to get married to a very rich man, but she's feeling a bit trapped by her father. Her father doesn't want her to get married. He's basically holding her prisoner to stop her from getting married. So she does a bunk. She runs away. She's determined to get married to this rich guy. Once she kind of hits the streets and she's got to go it alone, she's a little bit like a fish out of water. She's out of her element. She stumbles across reporter Peter Warne, played by Clark Gable, who basically picks up on what's going on and figures, you know what, this is a good way to get back in my editor's graces. He's just been fired from his job as a reporter and he figures I'll tag along with her, I'll write up the story. It's a big story and that'll get me my job back, basically. So what we essentially have then is a road trip of sorts in which these two very unlikely sparring partners grow to have affection for each other across the course of the movie. And as with the previous Frank Capra movie that I've just reviewed, which was You Can't Take It With You, this one, again, as with that one, has a very predictable outcome, I would say. You know where it's heading. If you've seen enough rom-coms, you know where it's heading. But you have to give a film like this the benefit of the doubt, given the fact that this came before most of the films that you've probably seen that have this kind of vibe about them, that have this kind of setup about them. So, back in 34, this was a lot more original. So you have to put that mindset on when you come to a film like this, of this age. That being said, even if this was done today, if this was a film made today exactly as is, I still think it would hold up pretty well. It does hold up pretty well. It's very well made. That's in no small part due to the chemistry between Claudette Colbert and Clark Gable. They really do sell this movie. The entire movie hinges on them and their chemistry. And thankfully, that chemistry is combustible. Clark Gable is really playing against type here. I'm not used to seeing him like this, especially coming off the back of just having seen him in Mutiny on the Bounty. He's very that strong kind of leading man type. Here he's a bit pathetic in many ways, but he's also very funny. He allows himself to be laughed at. One particular scene in the film when he's thumbing a lift, he's trying to teach Ellie how to thumb a lift, and he acts like he knows all the tricks. He's a professional. He can do it the drop of a hat, and he can't. He shows that actually all of his methods fall flat, and it's a really funny scene. And it's Gable who sells it. Now, Colbert really didn't like the making of this film. She didn't like being on this film. She famously told one of her friends that she was on this essentially piece of crap movie that is nobody's going to see. It's going to just die a death when it's released, but it's a paycheck, whatever. It's going to help her get to her next role. She really didn't enjoy it, and she was quite difficult on set as a result of that. Now, the payoff there is that she won an Academy Award for Best Actress, and as I say, this was the first film to pick up all those 5 major nominations and win. So Frank Capra had the last laugh on that one, but irrespective of what she was like on set and how she felt about the role, that doesn't show. She comes across as quite professional and she gives a good performance, and as I say, great chemistry. The script is very well written as well. The dialogue particularly is very well written. When you've got 2 characters like this that we're going to spend pretty much most of the movie with, that we're rarely going to cut away from, like majority of our time is going to be spent with these 2 people wherever they are, then the dialogue between them needs to be very good. It needs to be very solid. Otherwise, it's going to grate. But yeah, really solid dialogue, very well written. That again, frees the actors up to do what they do best. Now, as I say, it is very predictable. There's only one outcome for this. We've seen it many times before, but we have to, as I say, remember that those many times we've seen it pretty much all came after this. So yeah, I really enjoyed this film. I do have, it's not a major criticism, but it's so the very ending of it, you know, it's the typical kind of, they've been through everything, we know that they love each other, but they can't quite say it, and there's a bit of a mix-up, so it feels like, oh no, it's not going to work out for the, you know, for the best. But then somebody makes a choice, and then that's the triumphant, yes, they go off and they kiss the person, and we see them go off in, you know, in the sunset together, but we don't. Which is a bit strange. What we get is we get a bit of a visual gag in which their relationship is consummated, but we don't actually see them get together. So the last thing we see of either one of these characters is Ellie running out on her wedding day, and then that's it. And the next thing that we see really is a little visual gag in which we know what's happening behind closed doors, but we don't see them kind of get together. And so literally the last thing we see of Peter's character is him essentially storming out. So we don't get that catharsis of, you know, of physically seeing him and her meet again. And, you know, like, that would be the thing that would get fixed today, I think. You know, if you saw a rom-com of this ilk today, you would see that moment. It wouldn't just be a referenced to off-screen moment. You would see it. You would see the two get back together, and that would be, you know, what gets you emotionally charged at the end. It's still good storytelling. We know what's happening. We know they're together. But I don't know, there's something, it's a bit like in an action film, you know, when you spend the whole movie kind of, so Safe, here's a good example. Jason Statham film, Safe, action film, you got the hero, Jason Statham, you got the bad guy. And all the way through the film, it's building up to a kick-ass fight between the two that never actually comes, because the bad guy gets taken out like that as a bit of a joke right at the last minute. And yeah, this is the romantic comedy equivalent of that, is that you've built us up for these two to get together for so long, and we want them to get together for so long, but we don't actually get to see it. We know it's happened, so we're still happy about that, but there's something a bit more satisfying about actually getting to see it. Thematically, it's maybe not quite as rich as, say, something like Mr. Deeds Goes to Town or It's a Wonderful Life, but you kind of don't care when you're enjoying yourself this much. Other than that, as I say, the whole ride is a real fun one, and to say that this is from 1934, it feels well beyond its years. Question is, have you seen it? And if so, what did you think about it? Please leave your comments down below on this film. Thank you for watching this review, and until next time, crack in.